Christianity is not an African religion, and Ethiopia did not practice Christianity before the Roman Empire. This is a fact. What is not a fact is the mythological story in the Bible that tries to convince you that Christianity came to Ethiopia and they established the first church. You see, according to the biblical narrative, the disciple Philip met an Ethiopian eunuch, Simeon, on the road as he was returning back to Ethiopia. This eunuch was a eunuch of the Queen Candace, or it's like saying Queen, because Candace is just a royal name for a female queen. The queen that they were referring to, or possibly referring to, would have been Queen Sheba. This, according to biblical scholars, would have happened in and around 120 CE. So what they are saying is that Christianity was established in Africa around 120 CE. Keep that number in mind. But what we know as far as history is concerned, and we know that these people did not care about authenticating history when they did these writings, because they believed that their control over religion and over the people through the government would allow them to be able to make any sort of statement, and no one would be able to challenge it, because to challenge it would mean excommunication or death. So according to this story, Simeon took Christianity to Queen Sheba, and she then converted the Ethiopian people into Christianity. Well, the only problem is that Ethiopia was not called Ethiopia at that time, that it wasn't even a full-size kingdom to the degree that it is at that we know of it. The true historical accounts is that you have a Christian missionary around 320 who was shipwrecked in the kingdom of Axum. He became a slave to the king and queen of Axum and taught their son Exana Christianity. Exana adopted Christianity when he became king and went on to conquer more lands for the Axumite kingdom, the Axumite empire, and then converted Axum into Christianity. This was done in order to improve trade relations between Axum and the Roman Empire. It had absolutely nothing to do with spiritual bliss or spiritual enlightenment. It was purely a follow the money situation. Now, this occurred around 320 and forward, maybe up to about 400 CE. Prior to this, if you were to look at the archaeological evidence that we have from that area, the Axumite people prior to 320 were polytheistic, meaning that if Simeon had came down and converted Ethiopia into Christianity around 120, why is it that all their coins, all their pottery, everything relatable to religion, I mean, I say everything, there was a contingent of Ethiopian Jews, but everything governmental, everything on the majority that has been found for that era before 320, they were polytheistic. They worshiped the god Ashtar. The god Ashtar was their primary main god. Now, Ashtar had two sons. One son named Mahim, another who was named Beher. Beher was the god of the sea, and Mahim was the invincible god of war. These three formed the trinity for the Axumite people prior to 320, and was heavily worshipped. Was worshipped by the government, was worshipped by the priest, obviously, and worshipped by the people. Was indicated on their coins and in their temples. This does make it easier for them to convert over to Christianity after 320, seeing that they were already accustomed to a form of Trinity. But it was not the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It was the main God, the creator of all, Ashtar, to which if you look at Ashtar, This god was also worshipped in southern Arabia. Northern Arabia was worshipped by the Amorites, the Babylonians, and many other people, but had different attributes. He was a hunter god to some. He was a moon god to others. He represented the star Venus, which also made him sometimes female, depending upon who was doing the worship. It's an easy demonstration to us to show that gods are man-made, that gods are relative to the person or the kingdom or the culture to which the god is worshipped in or exonerated in. So they were polytheistic from 320 prior. So if they were polytheistic from 320 prior, how is it that the biblical narrative in the books of Acts says that Simeon brought Christianity to Queen Sheba, Queen Candace, and converted the kingdom of Ethiopia into Christianity, taught them the gospel of Jesus? This is obviously a rewriting of history. This is obviously a mythological story to validate Christianity in Africa. And this is not to say Africa, just what we know as Ethiopia. Because when you look at Africa, Africa is made up of 54 countries today. Africa was made up of many more kingdoms and tribes during that time frame. During this time frame, the people in Nigeria practiced Ifa. They practiced an ancient version of Ifa during that time frame. They would not have been practicing Judaism. They would not have been practicing Christianity. They were practicing the worship of Oshun, Oromare, Shango, Anansi. These were their gods during that time frame. So we have to dispense with utilizing the term Africa when we say that Christianity came out of Africa. It never came out of Africa. Plus, when we look at this time frame, we recognize that by 120, that there were Christians already in the Roman Empire. In 120, to Pliny the Younger was written a letter by Tacitus expressing his difficulty in how to handle the Christians who had violated Roman law. That indicates that there were people who practiced some form of Christianity in and around 120, in and around 100, in and around 90 CE. Therefore, Christianity was already in Syria, Lebanon area prior to it ever reaching Ethiopia. So how can it come from Ethiopia? When King Ezana is the first king to Christianize the Axumite Empire and then the whole of Ethiopia, what will become Ethiopia today. I understand that there is a fear, a disturbance within you when you decide that you want to walk away from this religion, when you evaluate this book. You want to hold on strongly to it. But we who have accepted the fact that we will deconstruct this book, come to a true understanding of this mythos, we will look at the facts and we will accept them wherever they land. The facts continue to land where the stories, the doctrine of this book is not true history. That the stories and doctrines of this book could not have happened, but fall under myth, fall under government creation in order to maintain control over the people without using a standing army. This is what Theodosius realized in 482. that he can control the Roman Empire with a myth, and it will be much cheaper and much easier to do so with a myth instead of a standing army. Because prior to that, the way to maintain the Roman Empire was through your military. Just in the same way today, America tries to maintain its dominance over the world, not through finances, not through charity, not through love and consideration, not through trade, but by maintaining the world's largest and strongest military. And we even see cracks in that armor today, as countries like China become stronger and stronger militarily. They're also becoming stronger and stronger economically. King Izana recognized how important it was to maintain strong economic ties to the Roman Empire, seeing as how where they were located was an important trade route from the Roman Empire into India, and saw the financial bounty that can be gained from his country by being in league with the Roman Empire. Hence, King Izana's conversion to Christianity, because this would have happened after the Edict of Milan, after the Nicene Council, and during the time frame of the canonization of the Bible and the growth of strength of Christianity within the Roman Empire from 325 up until 482, when the whole of Rome was converted into Christianity. It put them in a place where they would be in line with Emperor Theodosius when he declared the entire Roman Empire to be Christian, and therefore it would make him an ally. It would make Ethiopia, the Axumite Empire, an ally to the Romans, who represented the world's biggest superpower of the time. We recognize the fallacy, we recognize the myth. And by recognizing those fallacies and myth, it allows for us to walk away from this traditional religion that we've been conditioned into, and to come into a clear understanding that our spirituality is greater than the history of man, is greater than any myth, and does not have to be contained within a book that has been written by man, that has so many inaccuracies. And if it has inaccuracies, it cannot be the authorized, inspired word of the Creator. But that word of the Creator, that understanding of the Creator, is within nature and within yourself. It is within your core being of who you are. By understanding you, your ability to create mentally, your ability to use the laws of nature to manifest life, to manifest situations, to manifest all things. That is how we recognize the Creator. Not through any book. Books can be helpful, but we have to be able to weave through the minutia, the bleeding over of man's hands into these books, so that we can see true knowledge, true understanding that does lead you to understanding the divine God and Goddess inside of you, the balance of your masculine and your feminine, the good nature of you overpowering the negative aspects of yourself, to raise your vibration so that you can become the greatest version of yourself, enabling you to ascend to a higher conscious plane of understanding. That is why we deconstruct. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.